Welcome to another edition of Resilientlpodcast, a show dedicated on improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. My name is Adrian Babashoff, and this is episode 13, 2021, Economy Fears Rant. I just wanted to get by, well, first of all, the background noise is my F-350 mobile studio, my pickup truck. We do these things on our work commute. It's the only time we got, so please excuse the background noise. I wanted to do this show particularly because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of fears and stuff going on right now, and a lot of things that I think I'm concerned about. And I just came to just the conclusion of hearing people talking to me that, look, nobody has a crystal ball. There's no magic telling of what the heck's going to happen. I think anybody who says they know what's going to happen is probably full of themselves. Now, there's a lot of answers to stuff. We need to start looking for solutions instead of these problems. I think we shouldn't just disregard them, but we shouldn't be letting them ruin our lives and completely stress us out. But let's talk about a little bit what's going on here, because in the coming episodes, the coming weeks, we're going to give you guys a lot of solutions, and the whole entire show is about designing your life so that things like this, when they happen, if they happen, regardless if they happen or not, you're still in a good spot. So all the shows are pretty much an answer to this. We're going to go further and deeper because I know a lot of people are interested. So automation. I've been talking about automation for a lot of years, and it's been here, and it seems like it's getting even bigger. And I think its role in it for job losses and business losses is probably pretty big. I don't know if you guys have seen those YouTube videos. They got this robot, looks like a dog. I think there was like one of them pulling a semi-truck, and it's literally the size of probably a very, very large canine. I've seen these things where they're pulling bricks out from underneath buildings and things like that. So there's a lot of jobs that you would think that, well, they can't replace me. Guess again. I'm not here to doomsday again about all this stuff, but I think that it's very smart that we take a look at these things and try to figure out what role does automation have in our lives. And, some of the conspiracy theories and some of the thoughts and stuff that I see people getting into right now is that, they're going to take over our jobs, and we have universal basic income and all these kind of crazy things here. But, I don't think it's that far-fetched. We're starting to see, I was in a CVS Market, a Rite Aid, pharmacy the other day, and they had kiosks already set up in there. They've got them in Costco. At least I live in San Diego, California, and I'd say about 3-4 months ago, they started doing check yourself out, the kiosks and the self-checkout. So there's a lot of different things I think happening right now. I've even seen, I'm in the solar panel cleaning business, and I've even seen where people have invented these robots to go and clean solar panels. And in fact, the roofing job I was just on day before yesterday, they actually had there was a guy just standing there with this remote control, and he had a stump grinder, and the stump grinder was just whacking the heck out of the roots and the stump and everything of a big tree they cut. And I just thought it was amazing. And this guy was just sitting there just kind of playing with it. So a lot of things are changing, my friends, and I think that we definitely need to be alert. So a lot of these job losses and business losses, I think it was pretty crazy during this COVID thing. It seems like right now as I'm recording this is the last week of May, and here in where I live, they're supposed to open, I guess, everything back up June 15th. So in about 2.5 weeks from now, we're going to see probably some changes happening. But the thing that got me was that a lot of businesses closed down for good, and there's been a lot of jobs that are gone for good. And during the conspiracy theories and stuff that I've heard, like my own, I'm just saying, this is my imagination. I just keep trying to figure out what the heck is really going on. And one thing I can see is that there's 30 million people out of work right now, Americans. And I can see how the government or the powers that be, whoever it is like, look, we've been giving you guys stimulus money, right? And I guess what the story goes is a lot of people don't want to work because they're making more from collecting unemployment and getting the stimulus money than they would at their own job. So they're actually coming out ahead. So even though people have the ability to maybe start a new business or get a new job, they're not doing anything because they're just kind of enjoying the party. I do understand that some people are in a bad place and they do need to have that stimulus, but it just seems like this is a setup for the universal basic income where the government could say, or again, the powers be like, look, we tried to help you guys. We gave you guys money. Now we're offering jobs. None of you guys want to work. So we had to get the automation and the robots to take care of a lot of different things, you know, so those jobs are gone forever. So that's kind of the thing where I look at where it could almost be like a setup kind of thing, you know, like maybe they just don't know what they're doing. They're like, let's do our best, but really McDonald's is offering a bonus for somebody who just starts to work. So yeah, that stimulus mentality is very dangerous, I think. And I think it keeps us, I mean, for one, guys, if you want to, I don't know how this affects your credit, but I don't think it's going to affect it very good, is that if you wanted to go buy a house or buy a car or start a business or get a loan for anything, and it shows that you've been living off stimulus money and you haven't been working, I think it's going to make you look pretty bad. And I think 30 million people collecting unemployment and doing that. There's a lot of scary, what the talk is too, is that there's 3 million late payments, I guess, on mortgages. 3 million people projected to lose their homes across all the United States, and that's kind of like the census, the analysts of what they actually have. A lot of people delinquent on rents. So yeah, there's expected to be a flood of homes up for sale in the coming, maybe after this year when all the moratoriums and everything get lifted off. So it's just not a very good place to be. And revamping the economy, the engine of the economy is like restarting it. I know for in my business that, you know, there's a lot of components to something. You can't just flip the switch and expect things to just like go back to normal instantaneously. Like for instance, some people are warning about a fuel shortage. And when we have a fuel shortage, we have an everything shortage. So, and that the government is possibly leaking like little parts of shortages here and there. They're trying to postpone a full-blown recession. So they're doing it in like quantitative easing. Is that true? I don't know. There's people saying also that we have a K-shaped recovery, so meaning that a lot of businesses are doing bad, are going straight down, you know. This is the recession kind of mark. It's the bottom part of the K, and then in the center at the same time, there's a bunch of businesses that are doing really good. So it's like, people are like, well, they're making more money than they ever have. And some people are losing jobs at a faster rate than they ever had. So kind of don't know what to do. But given the situation with printing money and inflation's definitely up. And from what I've talked to my own CPA, my tax guy and stuff like that, is that it's rare that it goes up and then it just goes back down. Usually it goes up. I think the price of like lumber going to, you know, 10 times its well, probably about 6-7 times its cost. I don't think it could stay up like that forever. It'd be impossible to build homes in the future. I think just a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon and trying to make some money off this whole ordeal. But again, that's just my idea. Now, I believe that the government needs its milking cows. It needs its aphids. You know what a cow is. I kind of like the analogy of an aphid better than a cow. You know, they're milking a cow, and they just want to keep their cows happy, unstressed out, box them all into unhealthy areas, vaccinate them, and you know, from getting diseases, even though they're living in their own pee and poop sometimes, and it smells horrific. You know, we may lose some, but for the majority, business keeps going. We're going to milk this cow until the day it dies. That's easy to kind of understand. But what I look at is the way ants deal with aphids. And aphids are a little insect that attaches itself to vegetable plants. And what happens is it sucks the sugars out of the plants that the plants reproduce from photosynthesis and things like that. So basically it pulls out all the sugar out of a plant with its beak, and it'll excrete out these little, they're called honeydew balls, you know, honeydew droplets. So there's basically, they're full of sugar. They poop out these little areas of like syrup. And who likes sugar? Ants. So ants know this. They've been dealing with aphids for hundreds of thousands, if not of years. From what I've heard, the aphids and stuff have been here before human beings. So they've known each other for millions and millions of years, way before we all knew each other. So basically what the ants do is they protect these aphids. And they'll make sure that when the hornets, the parasitic wasps come to impregnate, to lay a worm inside of them, they'll fend those off. Green lacewings that eat aphids, they'll ward those things off. They'll ward off ladybugs and stuff like that, because they know that this is their cash cow. This is their cash crop. They basically farm the aphids and take care of them. So I see that as what the powers that be, they need their aphids. But then there's a question too, do they? Because if they've got robots and they've got all these things going on, the automation to take over jobs, who's to say that they wouldn't just get rid of us? Who's to say? But the thing is, where's the money coming from? Who's going to purchase all the goods to keep things up? So it's a toss-up. And as you guys can see, when we equally look unbiasedly at the pros and the cons, the pluses and minuses of how true something may appear, and then we ask these other questions, it's a dichotomy where you're like, man, both areas make sense. And that's like the whole premise of my show about the way I think, the way I live my life, is I never buy into one thing or the other. Never. I'm willing to listen to both the evil and the good side, the black and the white, the up and the down, and everybody. I want to figure out exactly what's happening, and I want to take an educated assessment from what I'm seeing and hearing to make my best move. What is my best move on this whole thing? Because we're done talking about how bad everything is and all this stuff. Because, as I said, look at both sides, and then you guys tell me what you think is going on, and then we'll all play a guessing game. Or should we all start moving from a consumer and start moving to an embodiment of a producer? And what do I mean by that? I mean, produce a lot of your own food. You can't produce 100% of it, the most of us, but you can produce a lot. You can actually, I like to take that back. I think that you can. You can do such things as I do. I want you guys to understand the philosophy of how and why we should do things, how we should combat these things. I don't have the money to buy land, but yet I have the ability. I have 30 different offers. I think even more, probably 40 to 50 different offers. I didn't count them all down because I'm busy. I got a lot of things to do. But I put out a message on Facebook where I live asking for people if I could farm on their land. In exchange, I will maintain a portion of it, like weed eating and stuff like that, sweeping, whatever, raking, and I'll actually pay the water bill for all the water that is used, and I'll actually give you some of the fresh, best tasting produce on the planet at every harvest. I had bombarded. I just went and picked the best one. I found a place, guys, that it's probably about 3 acres of forest behind me. Just raw, untouched forest with coyotes and bobcats live in it, and snakes and the frogs come to my farm area and my plants. They live in my plants and help me with the bugs. There's no pesticides. It's completely quiet and peaceful. I've got probably about probably about a full half an acre, maybe 3/4 of an acre of perfectly flat area to work with, to spin farm basically. So yes, if I had multiple plots like this and I was able to get big enough to where I could sell my produce and make a living doing it, I truly think that I'd be able to produce 100% of my own food. Certain things like salt, although I do live by the beach, I could go make my own salt, but certain things like oils and stuff like that wouldn't be too conducive. But I just want to stop on that. My point is that we get in this philosophy and we start looking for the loopholes in things. So those of us who don't want to do those type of things, the way I look at it, I produce my own money. I'm a business owner, an entrepreneur. So, and not to say you couldn't do this being a 9-to-5 worker as well, but when you own your own business, when you're making your own money, you can produce as much or as little as you want. There's no fear really that I'm going to get fired, right? The only fear I have is, can my job be automated? And that's why I diversify myself. So you guys can make your own soaps and cleaners and things like that. That's what I do. It's better for the earth, better for the planet, better for the environment because it's non-toxic, and it's better for your pocketbook. You guys can start baking your own breads, canning your own foods. There's so many things. You could start a barter system. There's hundreds, if not thousands of different things that many wonderful people are doing, but nobody ever talks about it. I'm eating up my 15 minutes here for the show. For those of you who don't know, I've only allotted myself 15 minutes to finish these things. So, guys, if I brought you any value, I know we're just getting started, but I'm just asking for your support to like this show, subscribe, comment, please give me a review. The reviews are really huge. And that's it, I guess. That's all I got to say. I'm feeling super positive, and I wanted to pass that on to you guys today. Look, we're not stuck, man. Just start listening to the show. Listen to other shows like this. Start thinking positive, because there's always positive things. No time for to try to fix or to try to understand what's impossible, right? Let's work with what we got and what we do have control over. So, guys, that's a Resilient Living podcast. You can reach me at resilientlpodcast@gmail.com. Everything is in the description below. There's the YouTube channel, Resilient Living podcast, and guys, that's what I've got. So, as I always say in ending, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire and human up, my friends.